everybody, Just Marriage here, aka The Posture Guy, your #1 source on pain, posture, and performance. And I want to welcome you back to the Posture Project after what was hopefully a wonderful weekend for you. I know it was for my wife and I. It's been really sunny and beautiful these past couple days here in Sac City, Texas, which if you're not familiar with where that is, it's a suburb about 45-ish minutes northeast of Dallas. And, you know, even all summer it's been pretty sunny and bright and everything, but it's usually a little too hot for my taste. I go outside, and if I'm outside for more than 5 minutes during the summer here, I just melt. But this last week, it has cooled down significantly. There's a nice cool breeze. And so my wife and I, we've been taking advantage of it and going out for, you know, longer walks with the dogs. And this past weekend, some neighbors of ours had a block party and invited us over. And, you know, we were mingling and schmoozing and just catching up, seeing what everybody's been up to. And as a postural alignment therapist, you know, I always keep my ears open for people talking about aches and pains. And just like any other gathering, I heard people talking about, you know, their knee pain, their hip pain, their shoulder pain, etc., etc. And being neighbors, you know, I know these people and what they're doing in an effort to relieve their symptoms. Some of them, you know, I've talked to and they ask for my help and I'll suggest some exercises. Some of them I know are doing yoga or Pilates. Some of them are taking painkillers or just recently had an elective surgery. But whatever they're doing something to try to alleviate their symptoms. And so what really was interesting to me is as they're complaining about their symptoms, they are in the same breath stuffing their face with foods that contain gluten and aspartame and other ingredients that are putting their body in a chronically inflamed condition. And I thought, oh my gosh, they don't know what obviously that they're doing, because no one would purposely, you know, kind of poison their body. But here they are spending all this time and effort physically trying to improve their body, yet they're putting these foods that their body is really treating like toxins and putting their body in an inflamed condition. So it's counterproductive to their efforts of pain relief. And if they don't know this, then there's a very good chance that the postured guys and gals who, you know, watch the videos that I put out are unaware of this as well. And so I wanted to spend some time today to discuss, you know, how you can build and design your diet to support your efforts in pain relief, whatever it may be. You may have back pain, hip, knee, shoulder, ankle, I don't know. But whatever it is, you could actually help benefit from what you put in your mouth. So, you know, as far as, let me preface all this by saying that, you know, I'm not a nutritionist myself, and I'm not going to try to pretend to be one. You know, by all means, if some of the stuff I say here you have questions about, you can ask me, but also, you know, talk to professional nutritionists about it. I'm just going to tell you what's worked for me, what's worked with my clients. You know, I would never advise someone to do something that I haven't done myself. And by all means, you know, I always tell people, you know, ask questions. If you know, make sure you understand something before you go do it, because it's your body. So please, if you have any questions about what we're talking about today, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get to them right away. But, you know, where my background in diet comes from is both on myself and clients. I've been in the health and fitness industry for now a little over 12 years. I first got into it when I was 16. I weighed 150 pounds. And I got as big when I was 21, in between there, to 235 pounds, because I used to do some bodybuilding. And at 235, the most body fat I had on me was 10 to 12% body fat. And then the smallest amount I had was 4 or 5% at, I believe it was 185 pounds. So I tell you those numbers not to brag, but to say I've been as little as 150 and as big as 235 on the same frame. You know, I've always been 5'8", 8.5 on a good day. So my body weight has fluctuated and my body composition has fluctuated that much because I've tried so many different diets with so many different purposes: to lose weight, to build muscle, to gain strength, to build muscle and gain strength, to build muscle while losing fat, etc., etc. So I won't say I've tried all the diets, but I've tried a lot of them, and that's where my experience comes from, and I document everything I do, you know, down to back when I was bodybuilding to, you know, the grams of rice I would have in a meal and everything. So very, very detailed and meticulous like that. And also, let me say that the word diet, I feel like it's something that I have to use just so people know that we're talking about food and nutrition, that kind of thing. But I really hate the word and all the stigma that kind of the stigmas that go along with it. You know, a lot of people hear diet. What's the first thing you think about? Restrictions and sacrificing and suffering through. And it's usually for in an effort to lose weight. Well, understand that a diet is just the actual definition of the word is simply, you know, what a person eats on a regular basis. So like I said, I tried all kinds of diets over the past 12 years, like I said, to lose weight, to gain weight, to build muscle, to gain strength, etc., etc. All those were diets. The last 12 years, everything's a diet. You know, you have a diet, I have a diet. The 350-pound guy who drinks Pepsi and eats Domino's pizza with Twinkies and donuts, he has a diet. What his purpose is, I don't really know. I don't think it's for anything physical, obviously, but that's a diet. So, you know, please don't think of a diet as something restrictive. The way that I eat right now, and my wife eats too, you know, there's really no restrictions. I love the way I eat, and I think you will too when I share it with you. The bonuses of eating a, you know, what's called an anti-inflammatory diet is obviously it's going to support your efforts to relieve your pain, because when your body is an inflamed condition, you know, I'm sure you've heard, you know, someone say, yeah, I have arthritis in my knee. Well, let's break down arthritis. Arth is joint, itis is inflammation. So you have inflammation in your knee. Well, if you have and you've heard me say this before, if your knee is out of position, let's say it's externally rotated at 45 degrees, well, now your knee isn't just a hinge joint, it's now a hinge and a rotational joint, and there's a lot of grinding going on there at the knee joint. And so, of course, now there's a biomechanical reason that you're going to have inflammation. But if you're eating, you know, Doritos and cereal and things like that, then you're going to actually be creating more inflammation that's going to exacerbate that arthritic knee. So we want to do everything we can to put your body in a more alkaline level. And if you're not familiar with alkaline and acidic, basically your body on an alkalinity scale goes from 0 to 14 with 7 in the middle. And depending if you're sick or you work out or you're stressed, your body's going to, its neutral is 7, but it's going to fluctuate. It'll be more acidic sometimes, more alkaline others. But you want to try to, on average, stay in that 7 spot. And so the diet that I'm going to suggest or recommend to you, it's going to help you stay there. Now, obviously we talked about just now that being alkaline and not having an acidic or inflammatory type diet, it's going to help with pain relief. But on top of that, it's going to also help support your immune system, because when you're in inflammatory, when your body is in a chronically inflamed condition, it's going to be more prone to autoimmune diseases, viruses, bacteria, different types of mold, different types of cancer. So some really serious things here. I always tell people, you know, as much as I'm the posture guy and I love movement and exercise, I would say, you know, if you think about what the human body requires in order to live, breathing is first on the list. That's the most important. Then water or hydration, which you could count kind of as nutrition. We will today. Then nutrition, food, and then movement. All right. So movement is actually the last, even though it's the thing that I love the most. So when you're trying to eat this alkaline diet, you know, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I didn't want to have the posture guide diet. You know, I always read what people do, and I do what works for them. I may tweak it a little bit for me, but you know, I didn't want to invent something of my own. What I found that works for me, and that works for a lot of people, is what's called the Bulletproof Diet. And if you've never heard it before, it's by a gentleman by the name of Dave Asprey. You can Google him or Bulletproof Diet, but you can find him at Bulletproof Exec. I think it's EXEC, short for executive.com. And he runs a great site there. He's a biohacker, a lot of really interesting stuff. But I think he puts together really well. The Bulletproof Diet is essentially an upgraded version of the paleo diet. If you haven't heard of that, like the name suggests, it recommends you eat more of a diet that is consistent with the Paleolithic era, eating higher quality, more natural foods, foods that aren't boxed or bagged or processed. Think of eating how Grok, the caveman, used to eat. So meats, veggies, nuts, good healthy fats, things like that, not cereals and wheat and sugars and fruit, or not too much of fruit. Because if you think about it, back in the Paleolithic era, there wasn't always fruit available. A caveman may have some, but at a certain season, and if they had it, it was a real treat. It wasn't that they just went to the grocery store every week and got it. So if they had it once a month or a few times a year, it was like, oh, this is good, but they wouldn't have it on a regular basis. So that's kind of a paleo diet, and the Bulletproof Diet is simply an upgraded version of paleo. And it focuses both on macro and micronutrients. But if you're not familiar with the differences, I think a lot of diets focused way too much on the macro and not enough on the micro. Macronutrients are things like protein, fats, carbs, sugars, that type of thing. And they're important. And I think the reason diets focus on them a lot is because they're easy to measure and manage. You hear people, oh, how many carbs are you having? Are you low carb, slow carb, no carb, high carb? Are you carb loading? How much protein you're having per pound of body weight, et cetera, et cetera. So those are macronutrients. But also what's important is micronutrients. Micronutrients would be vitamins and minerals, and then, oh yeah, all the toxins and bacteria and molds. Those are bad micronutrients that are on or in foods from the way that foods are raised and processed nowadays. Because obviously that's a lot different than how it was during your parents' time, your grandparents' time, your great-grandparents' times when they lived. So we got to watch out for that too. Something like a banana, which you think, oh, it's fruit, it's a banana, it's good for you. You look at both macronutrient-wise, it's essentially sugar, so it's processed a lot in your body the same way as a Snickers bar. Yes, it has more vitamins and minerals, so it's got that going for it. But also, how is a banana produced nowadays? What's sprayed on it to keep bugs and stuff off of it? Well, that goes through the skin into the banana. You eat the banana, you are what you eat. So you got to be careful of that. So you want to eat, I always tell people, as high a quality of food as you can, that your budget and your comfort level with convenience allows. Now, a couple things you can do right off the bat to eat a more alkaline diet, and you've heard me say this before, is don't skimp on water. At a bare minimum, and I'm talking if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you work behind the desk mostly from 9 to 5, you don't really have any physical activities, you should still be drinking minimum half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Now, if you do any other physical activities, you have a physical job, any type of manual labor job, or you're working out, you should be drinking more towards a gallon. Maybe if you're a bigger person, like just taller or bigger weight, maybe like a gallon and a half, because that water is going to bring that, remember we talked about that alkalinity level from 0 to 14, closer towards 7, and it's also going to hydrate your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, your joints. It's going to help secrete more synovial fluid in your joints. So water is key. That is number one. I know it's not a food, but water, water, water. Do not skimp on the water, okay? As far as foods, what I've done, I'm not going to discuss every type of food because that would take forever, and I know my video posts are already long enough. But I put down some illustrations from Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Diet, and I love the way he's illustrated them because they are on a spectrum from green to red, and the food items, he's divided them up into like proteins, fruits and veggies, fats, things like that, categories. And then on each category there's foods. The ones that are more towards the green are the ones you want to eat, that's going to keep your body more alkaline state, and the ones that are more towards the red are the ones you want to avoid, because those are going to make your body more acidic and keep it in a more chronically inflamed state. So you want to stay away from those or avoid those. And I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, this is actually pictures with words. So they're really great, really well illustrated. So they're down below this video. You can take a look at those. I also hooked up a link to Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Diet, a post that he did on how to eat that way. I'll probably put another one too, some steps to make it a little easier, some ways to make it a bit more affordable, because I don't want people to think, you know, that to eat healthy has to be more expensive, or, you know, it can't be fast or easy. You know, I have to say, when my wife and I started eating more of a bulletproof diet, you know, we saved on average, I'd say $70, $75 a month off our food budget than what we were eating. And we were already eating pretty healthy and clean, but, you know, now we're eating even more so, but also saving money at the same time, which is great. So make sure to check that out. It's really, though, you know, if you look at the foods, it's really all about better quality. Again, you don't have to give up anything. This diet includes, you know, a lot of fats, less sugar and carbs, almost really no sugar and carbs, but plenty of fats, plenty of animal proteins, and really, when you're on it, you're not going to feel like you're sacrificing anything. I have coffee most mornings, but done a specific way, which you can read about. I'll link that down below too, that Dave Asprey recommends. So, you know, I had coffee this morning. I had some eggs and bell peppers and onions and bacon with some guacamole on top. It was phenomenal. I regularly have steaks and lamb and fish and lots of veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, etc., etc. It's just that you want to try to have better quality of foods, because there's a big difference between, you know, if you have butter, having it from grain-fed cows, and this also goes for steaks too, grain-fed cows versus grass-fed cows, in the meats and the butter and the milks and stuff that they produce. If you know, put them under a microscope and look at them, they're very, very different, and so obviously when we put them in our bodies, they're going to react very different. Okay, so I know I'm already getting kind of long here, and I can go on for hours and hours. I'm not going to bore you with that. Like I said, just check out the illustrations down below. Try to eat more towards what Dave Asprey calls the bulletproof diet, or the upgraded paleo. We'll refer to it here as kind of an anti-inflammatory diet, and just watch what happens. Watch how, you know, your body becomes less inflamed, your aches and pains become less, you're going to have more energy, you're going to lose weight, you're going to build muscle, you'll probably gain some strength. And here's a really cool, I won't say side effect, but bonus, is your mental alertness, your kind of cognitive response, how alert you are. You know, maybe sometimes during the day you might have kind of a brain fog, or just feel like you're just trying to push through like a thought, trying to push through some yogurt. You know, everything is just snappier. You're more upbeat. You're more, yeah, let's do this. Okay, do that. Focus this. Okay, what do I need to do? And not like a coffee jittery high, but again, just a lot clearer thought. It's really neat once you train your body to feed off ketones from fat rather than from glucose from carbs and sugars. And Dave goes into that, more of that in the link I'll put down below. All right, so I am really, really excited for you. I can't wait to hear your responses and, you know, your findings after trying this diet out. So please leave them in the comment section below. I would appreciate it. I know everyone else who's interested and who this video is kind of, now they're kind of intrigued about this, they'd be interested to hear as well. All right. Anyways, thank you for your time and joining me today. I really appreciate it, as always. I hope you got a lot out of today's video, and I look forward to seeing you inside the next one. Until then, take care and keep moving.